was we needed to get a chip fixed to my windscreen. We also needed to resolve an issue with the fridge, where the fridge cable got damaged. It seems to be okay now, although it's not a secure connection anymore with the Siggy plug, so we'll just keep an eye on that. We're heading out to the Kennedy Ranges, somewhere we've never been before, so that'll be fun. And then we might head up to Mount Augustus. It's a bit of a drive on gravel roads, so we'll see if we can be bothered with that. But yeah, what did you think of Canarvon this time, Sonia? It was a bit better this time as we got to actually check it out.
Yeah, I think I don't know, it was a bit better this time, and it just gave us some time to sort out a few little issues that we hadn't fixed along the way. So restocked, went to the supermarket, you know.
Yeah, it was alright.
We did have a pretty stressful time after I slammed the fridge onto its cord and it broke. Then we had to drive like 2.5 hours to find somewhere that sold a replacement cord, which was a bit stressful, but we're all good.
We're all good now. We're on the road again. Had to leave a little bit late today because there was a really heavy dew last night, and the tent just would not dry because we were in the shade of a tree. So yeah, we didn't actually get on the road till 11, which is pretty late. But it's only like a 2.5 hour drive, maybe 2.75 hours. So that's all right. We should get there. Current ETA is about 1:45. So yeah, show them the road, Sonia.
Back into the outback.
Yeah, it's pretty straight.
What is this clown doing on the road?
Dunno, he's being a idiot. And this is going to be a idiot too. I'm going to have to beep all that out. Sorry.
Look out, wedgies. Big fish.
It's just crows, mate.
No wedgies. One wedgie. Yeah, that's a wedgie.
Yeah, you're right. Wedgie, you're right. Big
But-
birds.
With some crows.
Just stopped off on the way to the Kennedy Ranges, and there's a point of interest, the old cobbled road. So basically I think what the deal was is these tracks used to get pretty banged up, and some peeps sort of paved one back in, I think, the 1920s. So it's pretty, I mean, it's no state highway, but it's pretty impressive nonetheless considering where we are.
Lasting the test of time.
Oh, that was a butterfly. Good to see they were still all about straight roads back then as well. Alright, we'll carry on now, I think. I figure we should probably stop and check it out. Worth it? Yeah, worth it. Bit of history. Some peeps went past us just as we pulled over though. I bet they'd get the last camp spot. I'll be peeved. So we're just driving along this long gravel road out to the Kennedy Ranges, and in the distance we see, there's another wheel stud. In the distance we see this massive puff of dust. I probably spoiled the story now. Anyway, as we roll up on this massive poof of dust, there's a jackknifed Canarvon and Land Cruiser, and a wheel has come off the Land Cruiser, and they've just jackknifed on the side of the road. And as we left the sort of scene, because there's other people dealing with it, some guy had a sat phone, and some people who saw it happen were helping out, so we didn't need to stick around. We saw wheel studs on the road, and probably like a couple of k's up the road now, we just saw another wheel stud on the road. So apparently the guy that it happened to had a blowout. Maybe that's his tyre there. No. Had a blowout on this road and changed the tyre, and looks like he hasn't done his wheel nuts up tight enough. So, yeah, that's probably the end of their holiday. That was freaky. We didn't see it happen, but we saw in the distance this massive plume of dust just sort of appear.
Yeah, and we stopped to look at that cobbled road. Had we not, we probably would have
we might have
been
witnessed
there
it.
at the time it was happening. So
Yeah, and we only stopped because we've got the Zolio, so we thought in case they needed help.
yeah,
We're pretty remote, there's no cell reception out here.
and there was nowhere to know if anyone was hurt or not.
Yeah, that's
you know.
true. I mean, we were trying not to be rubberneckers or anything, but a guy turned up. He looked like he worked in a mine or something, and he had a sat phone, so he's helping them out. They had their Starlink out on the side of the road trying to get help. But yeah, old sat phone came and saved the day. Anyway, pretty lively trip out here actually, considering we've been going for ages and haven't seen a soul. It was pretty crazy. We're checking the wheel nuts tonight. Well, I always check the trailer every morning or every other morning, and it's surprising how often there's some movement in them. You know, like they come loose just through driving, and that's why you got to check them. Maybe I'll check the ute as well. Although it has just been serviced, and I assume that they've wrenched them on with a pneumatic impact wrench or something. Anyway, just thought we'd share that experience with the world.
Glad no one's hurt.
Yeah, that sucks for them. I mean, it looked like a husband and wife, and the wife was pretty unimpressed. The husband's doing his best not to crack the shits, I think, because you know, there was a whole bunch of people all of a sudden just materialised out of nowhere, and in some ways you're glad that there's help, but in other ways you're just like, oh my god, how embarrassing.
Yeah, but also your adrenaline's still running. He's probably still shaking a bit. Like,
Oh man, that would be insane.
anyway.
Yeah, alright.
So we're in the Kennedy Ranges, off to do our first sunrise walk to the sunrise viewing platform. I'm going mining. Andrew's leading the way. Sun's coming up over there. We'll see if we can make it to the spot to see it come up in time.
Good morning, YouTube. We're at the Honeycomb Gorge. We've just been at the lookout for the sunrise here at Kennedy Ranges, and of course you got to do the Honeycomb Gorge because it's pretty spectacular. I don't know that you can really capture the full scale of it on a camera. It's awesome. It is really, really cool. Would look awesome with some water rolling over it, but check it out. That bush is way taller than I am, probably 1.5 of me for scale. And we reckon people have been chucking stones up into these cavities. So can't imagine they would have got there naturally. Wonder if that's a recent phenomenon. Anyway, we're up pretty early today. We're up for sunrise. So yeah, pretty hungry. Might just go back to the camper and have some brekkie. We're off on another walk, and we're going to try and do the escarpment trail today. We've gone full prep mode with camelbacks and gaiters, which is pretty dorky, but that's our style. Apparently it's like a 3-hour walk or something, but you just don't really know. Don't know how hot it's going to get. Yeah, We'll check it out. Some of the rocks around here are real crazy. They sound like terracotta, and we bumped into a dude and he was telling us that it's some kind of volcanic rock, and some of them are hollow. You can see this one sort of looks a bit hollow. Cool rocks. Sonia's hot.
Thanks.
So just bumped into the family we're calling Fit Family because they're all real fit. We don't know all of their names yet. Anyway, they did this walk in about an hour return, so maybe probably just over an hour by the time they get back. And it's supposed to be a 3-hour return trip, so we're factoring maybe an hour and a half because we're not as fit as them. But it's pretty cool so far. Lots of scrambling over rocks and stuff.
Back to go.
Yeah. Onward. So we just passed a sign that says 500 metres to the summit, so that's promising. Looks like we've sort of come up the gully. Now we sort of loop back around onto the top. Definitely got the heart rate up a bit though. Carmen reckons 116, I reckon it's wrong. It's been a good walk, but it hasn't been like as hardcore as I thought it was going to be. Mind you, it's early morning and it's not hot. A lot of flies though. Alright, well I thought it was going to level out when we saw that sign 500 metres to summit, but it did not. It got steeper. And now we're on the top and it's flat. So I guess we walk out to the end and check out the view. It's taken us 35 minutes from the beginning of the track to get to here, which is what Fit Family said it took for them. So I'm feeling pretty happy. We're obviously not too far off the pace of Fit Family. Sonia's rocking the gaiters today.
First outing.
First outing, yeah. You do look like a massive dork with gaiters on, but I don't know, I just feel heaps safer. Keeps crap out of your shoes. You know, it just gives you that extra layer of protection against scratchy and bitey things. So yeah, you know, I don't actually give a shit what I look like, so gaiters it is. Right, so we've made it to the lookout. 44 minutes. The views are pretty good. Yeah, and it's really windy still. Had to take my hat off because I nearly lost it a few times. If you just sort of look around, you just think you're on like the ground, but we're actually like 80 meters up on top of this massive plateau. Yeah, so while we're scrambling down these rocks, we're talking about our charging strategy with our excess solar power, making sure all of our stuff is charged. That's it, we're travelling dorks, nerds, whatever. Should probably be careful they don't fall over. Steep.
Hot in this little valley. Guess we don't have the wind chill factor.
just made it back down to the bottom, so it's all flat again. But check out the view from down here. It's quite a long way up. Good walk. Probably all up, probably about an hour and a half. I forgot to start my Garmin again at the top, so don't know exactly, but yeah, probably about an hour and a half return for us to moderately fit people. Wasn't too hard, bit of scrambling over some rocks, but if we can do it, anyone can do it. So we're off on the Temple Gorge walk now. We're staying in the Temple Gorge campsite, and that's, I guess, like this is just a little gorge that runs off it. 2k's return. Pretty easy for the first 500 metres, I think, and then it gets a bit harder. So we can handle it. Just came across this cool bit in a bit of a gully. It's all like eroded, I guess, from many years of water and gravel flying down here. It's like the rest of the gully's all rocky and sandy, so it's just kind of cool to see a nude bit. Here's one of these cool lava bubble things, if that's even what it is. Anyway, that's what I'm imagining it is. Sonia nearly got me doing an action shot. Just missed it, I was too fast. Well, we've made it to the end, and there is indeed a pool here. Probably not going to go for a swim in it, but yeah, there's some water down there. Must be amazing to be, well, I suppose you couldn't be in here when it was raining. You get washed away, but to be able to see the water pouring over the cliffs would be epic. Super cool. Looks like someone's had a little fire in here. Naughty. That would have been cool though. I reckon it would have looked rad. We're back at the crossroads now, where the Temple Gorge track forks off. I've just done the harder of the two sides. This is the temple. Pretty cool. So we're going to head off and do the left-hand track, which is apparently pretty easy, 200 metres. Some weird noises coming from the bush here though. I wonder if it's a bird. Check it out. Look at this crazy rock. It's like a giant sausage roll or something. Yum. Whenever I'm in these gorges, I always look around at the massive stones and then look up at where they came from and wonder when the next one's going to come down. Well, that was supposedly the easier path, but it was still moderately scramblish. There's a bit of climbing over some rocks and things. That was very pretty. I'd say worth doing both, but it's definitely more than a 2k return, even if you just do the longer of the two paths. If you include the smaller of the two, I'm going to reckon it's probably closer to 3k's. Well, that's what our Garmin say anyway. I remember to restart it this time. Alright, well we're all done there. So mine said 2.9 k's return doing both forks, and Sonia said 3.3. So something's not right there, but either way it's definitely more than 2 k's as per the sign. Alright, back to the campsite and have some lunch. Hey YouTube, we're doing our, I don't even know, done heaps of walks today. Very tired. This one's called Draper's Gorge. It'll be the last one in Kennedy Ranges National Park for us before we head off tomorrow. Neither of us have really got a lot of energy, but this one should only be 2 k's return, plus getting to and from the campsite. So anyway, looks like it's going to be much of the same. But that's alright because we like it. Flies are still bad. Yeah. That rock looks like a bear. There's another one of these cool hollow bubble rocks. Some really cool scenery on this walk. This would have been amazing with the water flowing over it. This could be the best walk yet. It's a bit tough at the end of the day, but it's been awesome. It's so quiet. We've made it to the end of Draper's Gorge, and the flies are still going strong. We just met a nice couple, Andrew and Wendy. Very nice. They're out taking some photographs, and we've made it to this pool at the end. And it's also very rad. There's tadpoles. I'm sure they won't show up on the camera, but they're there, trust me.
Well, hopefully they eat some flies.
Yeah. Millions of years of water and debris. I've just cut that out. It's so cool. Look at that little ledge under there. Awesome. Looks like some old seafloor. Some cool markings and stuff. Ripples. Alright, so we just finished Draper's Gorge. It's true to length, about 1 k each way. Probably one of our favourite walks. Kennedy Ranges have been awesome. Very much highly recommended. A really beautiful place.
Lower pressure in one of our tyres, so I think we've got our first flat tyre. Andrew's identified the hole, so we're just trying to put a bit more air in and hopefully we can link to the campground that we're going to be staying at, which is about 30 k's away, I think.
Alright. I reckon we just pack this away in the back and then drive and see what happens.
Right, let's do it.
We've made it to Mount Augustus Caravan Park. What a drive. It's about 100 and, what was it, like 260 k's on gravel or something? Yeah. Anyway, got a flat tyre. So I'm going to try and patch that. when we initially pulled over, I didn't connect the Anderson plug back up properly, so that got destroyed when we took off again. Luckily got a spare, so I'll have to patch that. All around, like, it looks awesome, but on a bit of a downer now, because just the drive out here was a bit of a but anyway, that's the view. Pretty big rock, apparently the biggest. So yeah, I got to set up the camper now and then try and plug the tyre, see how that goes, otherwise swap it out for the other one. Oh, and also check out how bad the back of the tray is, the back of the cab. Everything is absolutely covered in dust, so I'm gonna have to get the blower out and blow that out as well. Cool, fun times. Good morning, it's the 16th of May and it's 7:22 a.m. and we're off to climb up Mount Augustus. Everyone says it's really hard and several people die on this trail, etc. But it's a pretty cool day today and we're pretty well prepared in terms of food and water and everything else. And a couple we met yesterday said they did it in 5 hours return and they would have been in their mid to late 60s, so I reckon we can handle it. Anyway, famous last words, hopefully not. Looks pretty quiet in the car park, although a few other families appear to have got on the road before us, which wasn't surprising. It was 11.2 degrees this morning, pretty chilly. Anyway, we'll report back later. Alright, we're about 2.4 k's in, and yeah, it did get quite a bit steeper at about the 1.5 k mark. It's been a really nice walk though. Not super hard if you just take your time and, you know, stop every few minutes for a quick break, have a drink. It's amazing scenery and awesome to be up here at this time of the day, hey? We were like completely in the shade for a while and then the sun sort of just started peeking around, sunshine poking through. Halfway up the steep bit apparently, it's good to know. I am looking forward to the steep bit being over. Tough shooting straight into the sun, sorry about that for the glare. Still trucking along. It's pretty steep, but it's not like outrageous. But yeah, you probably wouldn't want to have a go at it if you weren't reasonably fit. But if you're used to some moderate activity, you should be alright. Heart rate's sort of sitting around 130, 135. Sonia's nose won't stop running. That's about her biggest problem at the moment. Isn't that right, Sonia?
Yep.
Yep.
And the tension building in my calves.
Yeah, a bit of tension in the calves. Should be right. Amazing view. Sonia and I were just talking about how the vegetation through here all looks pretty young, and there appears to have been a fire at some point, and we're trying to figure out how long ago that was. Nothing very big though. I mean, in terms of the regrowth, just lots of big dead trees. Well, bigger. Just bumped into a guy coming the other way. He was running. Whew. Yeah, there's levels to this game, I guess. We won't be running down. In fact, we won't be running at all. The wind's back. I was trying to wait for a break in the wind, but never mind. We made it to the top of Mount Augustus. That's pretty awesome. You can see the view. Maybe I'll get out of the view for you. That's the campsite down there. This table looks to have been burnt in the fire as well. The car park's about 407 metres above sea level, and we're now about 1,060. It's a decent climb, sort of broken up into, I guess, 4 sections. There's a easy bit, then the hard bit, then there's a long easy bit, then there's a short hard bit at the end. And when I say hard bit, it's not super hard, but you know, you definitely have to scramble. Yeah, it took us 2 hours and 20 something minutes to get to the top, which is, you know, us just taking our time. We weren't really pushing it too hard, but we never really do. Family that we saw, they did it in 1 hour and 40, so you know, you can do it a lot faster than us. It's cold at the top, it's windy, so we might head back down. One last look. Probably doesn't do it justice because it's just so vast and there's not much for scale, but it's big and empty. Campsite. Probably can't make that out, but it's some kind of bird of prey. Just like cruising over the top of us. Got so close. I reckon he passed probably like 10 metres over the top of us. Just looking for stuff to eat, I guess. Or saying hi. Hey, bird.
Or telling us to get off his rock.
Yeah, get off my rock. Alright, we made it to the bottom of Mount Augustus. It was a good walk. It was a pretty hot coming down, even though it's not a really super hot day. Probably like low 20s, mid 20s. Don't actually know. Anyway. There's no shade, so you just get blasted by the sun the whole way down. But it was an awesome walk. Views were cool. Took us about 5 hours from start to finish, and about probably 4.5 hours of actual walking time. Maybe 4 hours 40. Anyway, they say to allow 5 to 8 hours. And you know what? Depending on your level of fitness, maybe that's realistic. What did Sonia think of the walk?
I really liked it. It's long and hard, but it's not undoable.
We both sort of found it to be a bit easier than Bluff Knoll. I think because Bluff Knoll's, it's all steps, so you just locked into the exact same step length and stride the whole way. Whereas this is a bit more varied, so our legs don't feel quite as wrecked, even though it's much longer. Anyway, we both really enjoyed it, and glad we did it. Just having a little snack, and then we're going to go check out some other stuff. Alright, we're all snacked up, and we're going to go and check out some rock art engravings. It's only 650 metres return, so I think we can handle that, even though we're both pretty tired after that last walk. We'll just cruise. So we're off to see the Flintstone Rock. Ugh. I can never really tell if these things are actually old or if they're just sort of semi-old. They look pretty old. You be the judge. That one up the end doesn't look so old, but the really worn out ones do. Anyway, it's nice and cool under here. Wow, that wasp nearly flew into the massive spider's nest. Weird.
Yeah.
Man, that is gross. Yeah, with the walk, I mean, it was a pretty short walk. It was good to see some new stuff. Pretty easy. Maybe a bit slippery when it was wet. Today, it was dry. Oh, starting to feel it a bit in the knees, though, now, after that walk. Just driven 10 k's down the road, around the rock, and we're going to go check out some other engravings, petroglyphs, and just a little short walk from the car park. I wonder what's so special about this spot. This rock's interesting, eh?
Yeah. It's like snake skin.
A few more over there, but this little nook is awesome.
And the rock's got that quartz running through it.
Yeah,
too.
the rock's awesome. Yeah, that's little dots too. I wonder if those have been engraved. Must have been. Alright, good. Just a little jaunt. Pretty easy to get to. We're kind of just doing the walks because if we go back to our campsite, there's no shade, so we'll just be getting baked there in the sun, so might as well be getting baked out here in the sun while doing something. Some of these definitely look like aliens. Alien. Yeah, so we thought this one might have been a loop, so we just kept on walking to basically nothing. Well, the beginning of the bigger hike, and we don't really want to do that, so just gonna head back to the car and enjoy some air conditioning and no flies. Just, with all due respect to the rock art, I just find that without understanding it, without some kind of context, you know, what it's about, what it means, how old it is, who did it, kind of a bit hard to get super into it. That sounds really bad and insensitive, but well, I'd just like to know more to fully appreciate it. Alright, so the other day when we got a flat tyre, I started unhitching the trailer because I was going to change the tyre, and then decided to just put some air in it. In the process, didn't reconnect the Anderson plug properly, so when we're driving down the road it came out and got smashed up on the road, and the cable looks like this. So it looks like it's probably about 6 gauge cable, which is a really snug fit in an Anderson connector. Nobody here has a crimper that will work, so I'm going to try and work something out. Normally I'd probably just fill the Anderson connector with solder and just dunk the cable in, but because it's such thick cable, there's not any room for any solder in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice some small cable into the big cable and then put the Anderson connector on the end of the thin cable. Now, before anyone freaks out, it's only an 18 amp DC-DC charger, and it's a piece of shit Victron, so it only pretty much ever does 10 amps because it gets too hot. They do good equipment for everything except the DC-DC charges, I would say. And it's only, what is this? This is probably like 8 centimeters. So I don't anticipate it'll affect the voltage too much. And if it does, too bad. It's going to be better than nothing until we can get somewhere with a crimper. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, so they're fused together. It's pretty bad, but it'll probably do the trick. If it doesn't, too bad. The soldering is pretty awful because I was trying to use a gas lighter and it's really hard to apply heat to the right part of the wire. But like I said, it's like 14 volts and probably 10 to 15 amps, which is not that much. Anyway, we'll see how we go getting the rest of it done. It was really hard to do with all the flies, but I think it's done. I couldn't really film it and do it at the same time. It's a bit tricky, but this is the finished result. I guess we'll find out tomorrow if it works. I could plug it in now. I should just do that, shouldn't I? Yeah. Alright, test complete, worked, same current as I'd normally get, so no dramas. It's probably pretty brittle, probably not very strong, but it's really just enough to get us back to somewhere where I can find a crimper so I can do the job properly. And yeah, not a bad result really, considering I was getting smashed by flies all afternoon, and well, I'm happy with it anyway. Look at this. Not bad. Bacon and eggs for tea.